Welcome back to the 7th grade Mustache.
Welcome back.
And as you can tell, we are live in the studio, not on the fucking phone, live. In this episode, we're speaking about circular money. And in particular, we're talking about how money does stay in some neighborhoods. It should stay in a lot more neighborhoods, and how it leaves a lot of neighborhoods. This is a topic that many of you are familiar with.
Boomerang finance. But the hot topic right now is the Kanye situation, where he's talking about how the black community doesn't have the same connections as other communities. I'm not going to say any names, and so when he talks about it, all of a sudden he's called as anti-Semitic when he's simply saying, how come my people don't have the same pull that your people got? Mm-hmm. And we hear this all the time, like in the Chinese community, money is turned around, 7 times in the Chinese community. Jewish community is turned around 17, 18. What that means is $1 touches 17 hands before it leaves that community. And so the black community ain't the same. We just had a conversation. How many Chinese restaurants are on Ames? Ames is a street that's in the black part of town. And you said
4.
Yeah, 4. So there are 2 or 3 Mexican restaurants on Ames. Mm-hmm. But when you go to the Mexican part of town, South Omaha, you ain't
no black restaurants.
You ain't got no black restaurants. Mm-hmm. When you go to the Asian part, which is out west, you still don't see any black restaurants. So that's the thing, that other communities come to our community to make money. Mm-hmm. You see it in
and I can tell you that from first-hand experience, because my second job as a kid, I was working for a Korean couple which became multimillionaires off of selling bootleg tapes, fake jewelry, and black hair care products.
Yep.
That was their primary product, was, black beauty supply.
You watched them become millionaires.
I watched them, yeah. I mean, I wasn't there that damn long, but they was getting bread pretty fast.
Yeah, it didn't take them long to become ultra.
No. So, that taught me a lot about how the money within the community is generated by us, but it is not kept in the community, because these people of different backgrounds come to our neighborhoods and they make money off of us, and then they take their money back home and they invest it in their communities.
I'm not mad at them for doing it.
Well, here's the thing, though. This is America. You can open up a business wherever, but really the onus is on us, because we're spending the money there. At the same time, the whole thing was happening in Los Angeles with Rodney Kings and the LA riots, and a little black girl got shot because the Korean woman thought that she had stole some orange juice. Some, but not all, of these people come to these neighborhoods with this colonizer mentality. I'm going to get these resources out of here, and I'm going to leave. I'm going to go and take the riches back and share them with my family. To hell with these people. Okay, but if we know you think like that, then we shouldn't spend money with you. On a social timeline, we've evolved way beyond that now. Because...
Which part?
Well, hang on, because in the 2 decades since then, you have a lot more black businesses around the United States in different market vectors. Okay, so, it's not just I got a barbershop, or I have a music store, or I have a mechanic shop. It's black IT companies, it's, black design companies, it's black architectural firms, all these things, right? The reason why we start this conversation is because we're looking at how people will open these black businesses, but they stay in that one lane. And I just got back here today, and I'm riding through my old school neighborhood, and what I notice is there's a lack of growth. So the growth that I do see is from either big box stores or people who aren't black. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't black-owned businesses that are popping up. There are, but they tend to be in the same vein as what we've seen over and over and over.
The ceiling is very low for black businesses in this area, and that's the issue. I'll give you an example of one restaurant that opened. It's called Fixin's. It's downtown. It's owned by 2 or 3 black girls, but it's an ice cream store. Mm-hmm. It was very popular, very huge. I don't know if they sold it or what. I don't want to say it's not there, but a lot of business. But the thing was, they didn't open up, and they weren't catering to black folks. They were catering to everybody. Mm-hmm. I think that's a problem, is that sometimes when you have a black business, people think it's only for black people.
Okay, we got to unpack that, and I think the reason why a lot of people think that is because a lot of these black businesses back in the day, when you would go in there, you could tell, like, the money that was made was put mostly into buying more of the commodity or the material that they were selling, and it wasn't really beautifying the business and promoting the business or maintaining the business. It just seemed to be like, I'm going to get this money and I'm going to put it into this boat. I'm going to put it into this house. I'm going to pay for my kids' college.
Okay, are we talking about black folks in general or just black folks in all
businesses?
No, hold it. Because I had a conversation with a doctor in UNO. He said some real deep shit. He said, when I came here, he said that there was like 4 or 5 black businesses, and then you'll meet with them, and these motherfuckers act like they invented the wheel. Like this one. Yes, I've been doing this. And to do business here, you must know this part. And he was like, "Are you serious? Like, you think
they want them Raven Oaks motherfuckers?"
And so he was saying, and you could tell he wasn't making that up. He was talking about a real life experience he had. He said, "I've been here 15 years," and he said, there's a few black businesses that are prevalent, and you would go talk to these guys like, hey, And he said another thing, I don't like having meetings. He said, when you try to start something, he said, I give them 3 meetings. He said, these motherfuckers have meetings for 5 years and not do shit.
Yes, but that conversation is as old as the first black people that came to this city.
Well, hold on. I think black folks were always here, but we'll talk about that later. But my point was, that's why I was saying, are you just talking about Omaha, or are you talking about black neighborhoods? Because you're in a much bigger.
Here we're talking about here.
Yeah. But I'm saying you're in a big place that's flourishing. Okay. And they don't have some of the same issues we got.
Check this out. So we have this brand in Atlanta called Slutty Vegan, and it started in the West End, right near the AUC, Atlanta University Center, and it became huge, and they're all over social media now. And
I just saw a video about them.
Yeah, and they got multiple locations. Now, I'm not a fan of the place, but I do admire their success, and I want them to have continued success. They're growing pretty fast because they're in a niche market, like vegan food, with soul. And, they've attached themselves to a part of the market that wasn't getting any traction.
Yep.
Because, for the longest time, you had all these...
If you're black and vegan, you didn't have nothing.
You had all these, like, new age things, and then I would go to these things and I would see black people there interested, and, like, they'd be shopping at Whole Foods, but there was Soul Vegetarian. Soul Vegetarian, they blew up, but where they failed is that they kept their portion size too small, and that drove away people who have normal appetites.
Yeah, I dig it.
With the Slutty Vegan, you don't have small portions, but it's way more sexier than Soul Vegetarian. Soul Vegetarian is like, you remember that dude on Hollywood Shuffle that had the bean pie ice cream? Yeah. That's Soul Vegetarian.
They got 1 or 2 products and that's it.
Right.
And you're forced to eat it.
But no. Like, don't get me wrong. Soul Vegetarian is delicious, but for the price, it did not reflect the portions. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, what I'm getting at here by bringing all this up is that you have in Atlanta a different situation because, but the problem is this though. Now, see, what Slutty Vegan addressed in that area is a food desert.
Yeah.
And I talked about this earlier when we were eating lunch. A food desert is a place where, just what it sounds like, in a desert, there's nothing.
It's barren.
There's no resources. It's barren. All you have is like shitty fast food.
You got McDonald's and Subway.
And see, in the AUC West End area, I spend a lot of time down there. You have fucking hole in the wall mom and pop places that have a shitty storefront. And the food might be okay, but it's like, you get everything, you get all the bad parts of a black business, a black-owned business. You know what I'm saying? And we know what that is.
Yeah, the unreliable. What time are you open?
Inconsistent.
Hold it. It's nothing worse than going to a restaurant 3 times and the food tastes different all 3 times.
Exactly. So, I got food poisoning from
goddamn,
from a Muslim fish place in the hood. So fuck them. Never going back there. The old ass bean pies they were selling. But listen, so what Slutty Vegan did, it was this oasis in a food desert where all you would have is you had this rundown ass shopping mall right there, West End Mall, which didn't have any fucking food in it. So what the fuck you have a mall? You don't have no fucking food in it. And then you got all around there, all the poison, Popeye's chicken and fucking Taco Bell, the Demolition Man food. You know what I'm saying?
That's funny for other reasons.
So they have all this bullshit. And then Slutty Vegan appears and pow. Like, this is some cool, sexy thing. And like bad bitches out in yoga pants out here getting their food. It was a new sensation. And all the college kids from the AUC down the street were coming in there, and everybody else who heard about it from the west side and the east side, they came down there. And it blew up, and then they had to open up more locations because every time you would go there, there's a long line around the fucking corner. Listen, man, I'm not going to stand in line for a seitan or fucking tofu sandwich. Kick rocks. Fuck that. But that's me. So they're blown up and they have like multiple locations and everything, and that's great. But that's Atlanta. Okay? Yeah. We're talking about Omaha. Or, you know what? Listen, if you live in a city that is not Atlanta or a smaller city, then substitute Omaha for Montgomery, Alabama, or Selma, Alabama, or fucking
Indianapolis, Indiana.
Yeah, Gary, Indiana. You know what I'm saying? Or fucking Inglewood. You know what I'm saying? You can go to fucking Inglewood, dude. And like, man, when I go to Inglewood, there's Mexican restaurants over there. There's Chinese restaurants over there. You have, listen, and then the crazy part out in LA is so fucking funny because those people love to stand in line for food.
Okay, LA is about being seen. So when you're in LA,
dude,
when you're told that there's a long line, they want to go stand in line because they want to. I'm at the chic.
But like, okay, Slauson has a rib place.
What is that? Trader Joe's. Remember they making fun of these motherfuckers? What? It's a grocery store.
Right. But like, for example, in South Central, Slauson, there's this. Every time I would drive by there, there'd be a fucking line for a fucking rib shack. I'm like, y'all killing me with this shit, man. Like, I want y'all to win. But, dude, either be more efficient or figure out a way to fucking cut these lines down because actually you driving people away like me.
Well, in L.A. they don't because, like I said, it's about being seen.
Motherfuckers love standing in line.
Well, look here, okay, about the slutty vegan thing. I saw this TikTok reel, whatever, and there were two guys talking on a podcast, and the guy was making fun of the owner of Slutty Vegans. I guess she was speaking at some kind of graduation ceremony, and so she gifted all the graduates at LLC.
Yeah.
And so this guy, that's dumb as fuck. He's like, no, it's not. That's awesome. Do you know the power of an LLC?
Which is about $600.
Yeah.
With LegalZoom, yeah.
Well, even with LegalZoom, there are maintenance fees every couple of years, blah, 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 whatever. But the bottom line was, he's like, people don't understand, especially black folks don't understand a tax shelter. LLCs are about not paying taxes. And so this...
You know what else she did? I gave her props for this. All right, so most fast food places give away free food to cops. She's like, I'm not feeding y'all. No, because if we call you, you're not going to show up right away. So no, you don't get free food. So I give her props for that.
What I like about that is that she stated why she did it, though. A lot of times we do this silent protest shit. Like, I ain't going to freak with that motherfucker. Well, you weren't going in anyway. Mm-hmm. But when you let people know, like, no, I'm not paying cops because they're not being efficient. They're not doing this. Mm-hmm. That's important because, you know what bugs me about crazy white folks and crazy black folks? We don't like socialism. We don't like socialism. But we support the police. Police are socialists. And the reason I bring that up is because they can be bad as fuck and they still get raises. They can be inefficient as fuck, let people die, not solve any murders, and they still get a raise. Well, any place else, when somebody doesn't do a good job, they lose money. So when they say defund the police, ain't nobody's talking about like just outright taking money from the police. What we're saying is that your raise needs to be attached to your productivity. And so if you ain't solving murders, if you ain't saving little babies, if you ain't running into school when there's a shooting, like the motherfuckers down in that's a problem. So,
all right, it's a lot easier to make money online nowadays.
Oh, man.
But this is what a part of this problem is that money doesn't stay where you live. And I'm talking to like all these black influencers, quote unquote, that live in a black neighborhood that make money, but they'll go to a mall in a nice part of town. They'll go buy, a car, a really nice ass car and all this stuff. And they'll spend all this money.
But don't forget the Gucci. Don't forget the because those labels are important to these people. Because
right.
you want to appear that you've made money. You want to appear that I got Gucci loafers. I can afford this. But the problem is, again, how many times have we seen Gucci and these fashion make fun of black people? So it's really important if you vote by spending your money. You are encouraging that behavior.
Look, Nipsey Hussle lived by the sword and died by the sword, right? But he did make a point to keep money in the hood.
I think another thing that people talk about is so important when it comes to certain things is that, old girl broke it down. We don't have a black food corridor. She said these foreigners come from Africa, come from India, come from Nigeria, and different places. They literally order food and ship it in from home. But the black people in America, we don't have black farmers. We don't have a food corridor. Like we're completely
No. So okay, let's clean it up a little bit because what I think is that these black-owned restaurants aren't making a point to seek out black farmers because, yeah, you got black farmers in a lot of places, and there's some in this state. But when I'm in like a nice part of town, like say West Midtown Atlanta, which has been gentrified to death now, you got all these places that are all about locally sourced beef.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Locally sourced chicken free range and locally sourced organic this and that. All that's dope. But if you have a restaurant, then why not get with black farmers? Because then we're helping each other. Why not put that money, make a big ass circle way out to the country, back to the city?
Well, see, that's my point. Is one, it's hard to find those food corridors. What I'm saying is, when we talk about colonialism, we don't look at it for what in its practical application. Colonialism is when you set up a society that's designed to benefit one society and not benefit itself.
Well, it's exploitation.
It is global exploitation. Whole countries. So the point I'm making is that if you're a black person in America, African American, Native American, whatever kind of American you are, you're completely dependent on white folks for food. And most of this food ain't food anymore. We done talked about that. Cereal ain't cereal. If you look at a box of cereal, you got glyphosate like a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So literally, if you wanted an alternative, or if you wanted healthy stuff, you almost got to go overseas to get stuff. So the point I'm making is that we're so dependent on this society, and that we're here, not only do we perform for it and benefit the society, but we're also literally spending $1.6 trillion of our money with the motherfuckers that don't like us.
Okay, so check this out. I was working with this dude, told me that he had been to Gambia. And he said, he liked it a lot, but he wanted to go back, and he was thinking about starting an import-export business. I'm like, all right, that's cool. I said, but do something that's going to make money fast. And so what I was saying to him is like, but also bring that money into that community as well. I suggested he start importing furniture. You know what I mean?
And then, something he can do immediately.
Yes, because then what he can do is he can rent or buy a shipping container, fill it with this furniture from West Africa, mahogany and teak and all this stuff, and then bring it here, and then modify it, customize it, put some get a laser etcher and put custom designs on it, and then what you have then is something that's bespoke. Then you increase the profit margin. I said, but on the other end in Gambia, what you can do is provide these people in those communities with things or services or things that they can't get over here, like electronics.
And one of the deepest things I saw one time, there was an African woman. She makes shoes. There's three, whatever country it was, there's 3 shoemakers. Mm-hmm. So she said one of these things, I forgot what it's called, but when you buy one pair of shoes, they give a free pair of shoes to somebody in Africa. Mm-hmm. She said, cut that shit the fuck out. You're killing us over here. Literally, you have 3 shoemakers who live there and are making shoes, but then all of a sudden you're giving away free shoes? Because if that's the case, give out jobs, give out the material. So, but don't sit here and just give free shoes, because that makes an American feel good, because it's killing our economy.
This goes to what we were talking about in one of the most recent episodes about poverty fatigue. And how with poverty fatigue, what you get is people who are so beaten down with just being poor that they're so exhausted from having to fight to make these basic decisions, right? Their decision-making process is overtaxed and just having to deal with things that we take for granted. So with this situation that you're talking about is that, all right, then why not create jobs for these people so that then you ease the burden of poverty?
Look, we talk about it so many times when they moved the manufacturing base from the middle class. That killed us because we were making things. Or when you sit here and you convince black folks that going to college is the way to go and not the trades. Even though when you have a trade, if you're a welder, you can make $50 an hour welding. If you're a mechanic, you make $75 to $120 being a mechanic an hour. But we're told, no, those are dumb jobs. And we phased them out.
They're not sexy jobs.
Yeah, and that's heating and cooling, not a sexy job. But then also, when one of the programs I was working with, where there's new trades. You got medical coding and building. There are other trades that have evolved from the computer age. And those trades can be done at the house, but still, those are trades. Soft skills, hard skills, electrician. So the bottom line is that one reason it's so hard for us to, it's going to sound fucked up, by you not understanding a trade, by you wanting to go to college and aspiring to go to college and not realize what that means, that's a soft skill. And the point I'm going to make is going to sound real fucked up. But the reason we don't know how to run businesses is because we don't see ourselves as a business. When you have a trade, when you lay floors, you're the business. So you know, I need to get carpet. I need to get a carpet stretcher. I need to get a
supplies.
Yeah. And so you understand that, okay, for me to perform, I need this stuff. Essentially, you become the business. Well, finally, when you decide to open up a restaurant, open up a bowling alley and shit, you've been running a business your entire life. You're much more successful. Or on the white side, how many of these guys have their kids interning at their companies or follow their dad around or follow their mom around and stuff like that? So I think that's one reason a lot of businesses fail is because we don't have good business sense.
Okay, but you brought up kids. All right, so that's an important vector because if you're not teaching children the value of not just hard work, but how a skill can buy a house for you. A skill can pay for education. The skill creates a quality of life that you will not have as an employee of somebody.
Look, the whole thing we're talking about is circular money, circular finance. We're talking about when you spend money to create value, but you're also creating something later on. So when you start a business, you want to be able to either grow that business or hand the business down to your kids or sell the motherfucker too, which a lot of people do. They'll start a business, do it for 10 years.
Okay, but earlier you were talking about how starting a business is easy.
Oh yeah.
Hold on. Okay, so starting a business is easy, but it's the upkeep and the growth and the expansion.
Yeah,
so
running a business is hard.
So this is a problem that we see a lot is the lack of follow through. And that translates also to a lack of consistency.
I don't think it's the follow-through part.
No. Wait. The reason why I said a lack of follow-through because that follow-through is the roadmap.
Yeah. Well, all I'm saying is that it's not always... Sometimes you watch those shows, Restaurant Rescue, and you see how my kid's dying, my mom has cancer, I was molested at 8, and all these life things get in the way, and they can't run the business, or they were doing shortcuts because they couldn't afford to do stuff. And so that's the running of the business. You got to either plan ahead, budget better, understand your limitations, and you got to be creative. You got to offer this, you got to offer that, you got to be flexible. And so, like I said, running a business is much harder than starting a business. The reason I said starting a business is easy is because when we're talking, you know this for a fact, like, okay, I want to start a business by March 3rd, I want to be open. That's my grand opening. So you order the chairs, you find the location, you get the material, you get the equipment, you get the inventory, and then on that day you open up and you got people hired and you're ready to go for business, and you're good for the first 2 months. After that, it's a motherfucker because now you got to be flexible. Now you got to order stuff, first in, first out, last in, last out. You got to get the inventory. You got to check this. Oh, somebody done stole. I thought I had 3 boxes. That's the shit that's difficult. And so maintaining that's what you're talking about. Is like you got to have a vision. You got to have a 2-year plan, not a 6-month plan, not a 4-month plan.
Right. But see, also that. But okay, then what's your contingency if you get an offer to sell the business? Then okay, if somebody wants to buy it and you sell it, then are you going to start from scratch again, or are you going to do something different? Because it appears to me that like a lot of these people, either they just retire or they just they reinvent the wheel and they do the same thing again and again and again. And so one thing that
some things are portable, though. Some of those skills are portable. So
Yes. But what I'm getting at is that a lot of these people are overlooking the possibility of building out the community or expanding the community, because if you just keep popping up a chicken shack here and there, then you're not really doing anything for the community. I mean, yeah, it's a place for people to go and eat, which might be a food desert. Fine. No, what I'm talking about is, look, man, what fights against gentrification is growth from within.
If everybody, one thing, when you become successful, pay attention. When you look at other minorities or look at other societies, whatever you want to call them, one person eats, they all eat. They take care of everybody. If you're taking care of everybody, they're less likely to stab you in the back. Look, the one thing that's going to save the black community is more jobs in the hood, more manufacturing in the hood. We need a couple car businesses where BMW needs to put a plant in the hood. You need to have so if you got these jobs that pay well and it creates real wealth, the reason they don't like that is because that's when we were our most effective. That's when we had when we had politicians in our pocket. That's when we had civil rights leaders you can look up to. That's when you had the Malcolm X's and the Kings and all those people, because the black middle class were the ones who funded them. So once the government realizes that, okay, a black middle class is dangerous, we don't want a black middle class anymore. So we import crack. We move the manufacturing base out. We give you shitty politicians that promise shit and don't do nothing. That stuff right there. So, and if you think that the ghetto was by accident, the same problems the Jews had in the ghettos in Germany, the ghettos in Europe, are the same problems that you have in the ghettos over here. Hypersexualization, people wanting to be athletes, low self-esteem, drug use, all the same things that happen. So when you say ghetto, they know exactly what the hell they're doing how to create a ghetto. They know exactly how to create a ghetto and maintain it. So we got to fight against that by, number one, not just starting businesses, but maintaining businesses. Do business with your own people. For some reason, that in the hood, that's a negative thing, because we don't want to treat people the way we got treated. We don't want to treat white folks bad because they treated us bad. But that's fine. That still means you need to support your black community. You need to buy from your black people, buy a car from a black dealership, buy groceries from a black grocery store, buy a house from a black realtor, because once you do that, that money stays in the hood, and that builds up the hood. But every time you get a check, you want to run and buy Jordans from someplace farther away, 20 miles away from where you live, that's a problem. And something else you said that was very deep is this: are these black influencers and these people who are making this money, but they're not spending money in their own hood. They're literally going other places to buy money. So that's the problem with Amazon, and that's the problem with eBay and stuff like that. You can get whatever you want, but that money, when it leaves your hand, it leaves your community immediately.
So there's a generational thinking or a shift in generational thinking that I see. And I noticed that the generation that has come after the millennials, Generation Z, they're a little different than millennials are, Generation Y, because they actually, it's weird. Their type of thinking is more revolutionary in their approach compared to the millennials, where it appeared that millennials were very mama's boyish and like very they were like coddled too much, like too fucking soft. It appears that like the Generation Z actually wants to work hard, and I've seen this in some instances how these younger kids are drawn toward trades, or they're drawn towards more naturalistic ways. It's very interesting, actually.
It's kind of it's weird because they'll work hard, but it's not the same kind of hard work me and you did.
No. But I applaud their effort because, I don't see these kids out there slinging papers, because, I mean, shit, there's adults now driving around in cars delivering newspapers and shit. But I still see, these younger kids tend to have like a little more grit than their previous generation did, which I find very interesting.
I think also another thing that so many stories are out there. Like you have a roadmap to success that before you didn't have. Before you had the internet, before you had all this mass communication that we have now, people would do shit and write a book about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so they had the ability to give you the story. But now you got the real story, because you got 3 or 4 people doing something, and you're like, okay, well, this is how I got successful. This is how I was selling tapes of my car. Oh no, now okay, it's about views and streams and shit.
But one thing that concerns me is the danger of there being fewer doers and
actual creators.
That's what I'm talking about. People actually making things. And what I do see, though, in Generation Z is a lot of kids that are making things, making things with 3D printing, or like trying to find ways to do things or create things themselves. But I brought this up because one thing that concerns me is cryptocurrency and the metaverse. So the metaverse has not taken off the way people thought that it would, and that's good.
Yeah, that's what the rich folks wanted. Yeah,
yes.
Make them richer.
Yes.
In fact, I sent you an article where old boy talks about why did he change the name of Facebook to Meta? Like he did it too soon. Like what is he going for? He's right. Most people, when you spend that much time establishing a brand, a worldwide recognized brand, Why would you completely just abandon that motherfucker like that? Because he just knew that people were going to jump on board on that shit, and they didn't quite go down like that. Or the technology ain't where they want it. Second, another deep thing that I didn't realize was I saw this interview with this Indian woman, and she talked about, how do you think Jeff Bezos got so rich? How do you think he surpassed Bill Gates? And everybody, oh, Amazon. Yes, Amazon, of course. But how? What did he do? He got involved with the election. He got involved with the taxes of a nation. So he took over basically India, and they got it set up to where his company, you don't have to pay taxes on the stuff from his company, but guess what you do? When people buy the stuff, they got to pay taxes. So he's getting off scot duty free. So in this virtual economy that he has, he ain't paying taxes. But when it gets to the real person, they got to pay extra taxes. He got rich off of that.
That's slick.
Yeah, and so if you ever pay attention, whenever you see somebody hyper wealthy, hyper rich, it's usually because they've taken over a nation some kind of way. Not some diabolical. Yeah, fuck it. It's diabolical, my nigga. It's some straight up Mr. Burns, Dr. Doom shit, Latveria, motherfucker. So what they're doing is they use their money to influence, and we've seen the European nations do it throughout Africa. So it's kind of odd to see an American person do it, but that's what they're doing. That's how he surpassed Gates. It wasn't just, remember, it was one guy, it was that Oracle dude, but no, all of a sudden it's Bezos. What he did was he recognized that there's a market that I can take advantage of, and I have enough money to influence the government. When you get enough money to start influencing government officials, that's when you start making real money, because hey, they ain't gonna bite their hand to feed them. Right. And so all of a sudden, I got products over here, they're paying taxes, they're making money on the tax. I'm basically bribing the government, but now my products, because taxes are your biggest fee. And that's why I said it was so important. When you said somebody got gifted an LLC, they're gifting tax protection. And white folks are different from black folks. Because one thing, white folks don't like paying taxes. Right. Black folks think, oh, it's part of life. No. Yeah. but that's because we've been conditioned to think that. That's right. What were you told about taxes when you were a kid?
You go, well, you can't escape them.
Yeah, there's only two things for certain.
Death and taxes.
Yeah, death and taxes.
Yeah. But, see,
that's a bad lesson.
Yes. So, but we were always taught, like, get a job at the post office. That's a good job. And we would look at the guys.
Robert Townsend, Pernod's Account.
Exactly. And Hollywood Shuffle.
Hollywood Shuffle, yeah.
But we would look at these people who got these jobs at the post office, and they always had a nice car, and they had a nice house, and the lawn was always cut, and everything was, orderly and clean. But they never really got beyond that point.
That's a complicated conversation.
No,
because some the only ones that did were the ones that invested. That's all I was going to say. Yes. We knew some people in our hood that invested. Yes, we didn't get it back then.
But this is I'm doing this on purpose, because investing is buying bonds. Like, to black folks, like, investing has always been like, oh, I'm going to buy some bonds. I'm going to buy a CD.
If you were black, your investment was your kids. And I'm going to have 5 kids, and one of these niggas going to go pro. Yep. That's your investment. Right. White folks, their investment is different. They buy assets. They buy something that will produce money. Now, don't get me wrong, that kid could go pro. But he didn't buy it.
But if you go back in time, like when there were more black farmers, then you could pass this huge asset, farm, down to your family.
We were run out of those markets. That's what's so important about that. You keep bringing up black farmers. That's some deep shit.
The USDA is complicit in this crime.
What about the one where they sold them bad seeds that wouldn't germinate? There's that lawsuit still going, or did they win? That's like $1 billion lawsuit. Look, there are so many stories of black folks being sabotaged. We know about Tulsa. There was another one in South Carolina. There were all these cities where black folks were on top and were performing. And due to some kind of racism,
either there was racketeering, there was intimidation, there was murder, but either one of those or all of those were used to upend these successful black communities. But listen, I'm saying that because that is the lesson of history. But okay, fine. That's how we got to where we are now. But where we are now is we have the benefit of hindsight, and we also have the benefit of education. So it's like, all right, cool. I learned that Pawpaw and them, used to have a farm, and then they lost the farm because of some tricky, dicky shit. And then now I have these skills that I can use, although it may not be a farm, but I can use this to, create a wealth base for me and my forebears. But all this has to do with how you're educating your offspring or your nieces and nephews. I mean, listen.
Or yourself. Hold on.
Or yourself.
You got to educate yourself. That's how another way we fuck up is we want to educate our kids, but we don't educate ourselves. We don't read or we don't look for. And this, I always say the same thing. You're born broke. You're born dumb. It's your fault if you stay that way. There's enough money, enough education, enough intelligence. You have the internet now. You have ways to find shit that you couldn't even imagine. So, yeah, we're not educating ourselves.
Right.
Just what it is.
But, I mean, okay, but how many people listening to this show come home exhausted and just slowly wind down your day? Or do you channel that energy,
keep reading,
into learning, educating yourself, reading things online, reading books, reading articles, reading blogs, or actually creating something, building something with your hands, or making something using your creative, energies? What are you doing with your free time? Because look,
to increase the value, your value, what are you doing to increase your value? Whether it's money, whether it's education, whether it's getting in shape because I'm fat, whether it's any of those things, you ought to be improving. And don't get me wrong, we're tired, we're beat down, but that goes back to what my brother was, when Roscoe was talking about that mental fatigue. The financial, what you call it?
No.
Poverty fatigue.
Poverty fatigue.
Yeah, excuse me. I said fatigue. Fertile. Poverty fatigue because you're so beat down by the rat race at work. Not having.
But okay. Stop right there, because there's a culture of poverty fatigue within us, and it's like, man.
But sometimes it's taught. That's what I'm saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
It's a condition.
Yeah. We're in the same spot.
Classic conditioning. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's conditioning. So it's like, I'm just gonna go home and I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna relax, I'm gonna have a steak, and
man, I can't wait to smoke that joint.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna have a beer and I'm gonna watch the game. No,
look, 30 minutes before you leave work, your 3 blunts gone. You're already like, I'm gonna go home and roll 3 blunts, man, and watch the game.
No. Matter of fact, listen, if you are gonna imbibe, save it for the weekend. You know what I'm saying? I realize some of you may have an issue with addiction, and like you don't have that kind of willpower, but do your best to kind of just dial it back a little bit, because that money that you're going to spend on that time that you're going to give to that, you're going to actually be in the middle of that session or that glass or that bottle and realizing, man, I just had 20 different thoughts about how I can set it off.
Look, the lesson that you need to learn, one of the hardest lessons for me to learn, I learned a while ago. So, do you want to be a boss or you want to be a worker? We all want to be boss. We all want to be bosses.
Or do you? Do you really know what that means?
Yeah. Do you want to be a boss or do you want to be an investor? So the CEO of Coca-Cola made $50 million last year. How much money did Warren Buffett make off Coca-Cola?
Right.
He made like 400 million.
Yeah.
Who do you want to be? The boss or the investor? The investor makes the real money. A boss has to work. I don't want to be a motherfucking boss. I want to be an investor.
But you know what that is? The whole boss thing is, I don't want to be told what to do.
Well, the whole boss thing is that we grew up watching like shit like Alice.
That's entitlement.
Yeah, like remember Mel? I'm the boss. Fuck you. You grew up watching these shows where you got a supervisor, a boss, or some intimidator. Eat the Jetsons, Spacely, Mr. Spacely. You're fired, Jetson, George Jefferson. All these shows we watch, you want to be a boss. They were brainwashing you by doing that shit. And the thing is, what makes brainwashing so special is subtle as a motherfucker.
But okay. But also, that type of programming and that writing for those shows and these commercials
it's
that
the same motherfuckers
is the same people, but like it was catering to the baby boomers and Gen X, who were the kids of the baby boomers, so that you would keep this lineage, these traditions going. And that's why Christmas songs were written in a certain way, so you would go out and buy gifts. Now, listen, don't get me wrong.
That's deep.
I appreciate the holidays. I do. But you got to call bullshit when you see it.
Look, when you realize that so many of our traditions, most of our traditions were from World War II. So they're only, 50, 60 years old? 60 years old?
60 years old.
So, diamonds as a wedding gift, only been around 60 years. So if you want to find out, find traditions that were older than that, and then you realize, oh, this is all bullshit. It's all a hustle. Look, so when you watch these cartoons that we grew up on, when you watch these TV shows, these stories, all that, that's because they were designed to make you a good worker. And then all you did was aspire to move up in the company, but you never aspired to be bigger than the company itself. You never aspired, because if that happens, if you aspire to own land, which they killed them niggas, they lynched them niggas. So many people are getting their land back because they were taken through a shady means. So if you're a black person and you know that your family lost land, go find out. When I say black, brown, whatever you are, native, even when you're lied to about your culture, a lot of them natives who are in East Coast natives, what was it, Chappaquiddick? I knew Chappaquiddick because of the Kennedys. I didn't realize that's a tribe of people.
Mohawk.
Yeah. Do you know what makes the Chappaquiddick special?
That's northeastern.
Yeah, they're the people of they're called the people of first light. You know why? Because the sun touches their land first. They're the furthest point east, so when the sun rises, it touches them. That's why they call that shit right there. and then when you see these niggas, they niggas, they black. These ain't how? No. These is, I'm like, them is black folks, shittercocks. So the reason the reason we're talking about that is because a lot of our land, these stories of Native Americans and treaties being broken, you're assuming it's these yellow people. Not in the red man. Some of us are red, but it's just the fact that many of us have land that we need to go get back. Or, people are getting paid from casinos and not realizing, like, yeah, I get a check. Blackfoot. Hell. So what I'm saying is our legacy was being stolen on purpose, not by accident, but the idea of you being a good worker, that was brainwashed into you. And that's a hustle. So I'm not saying don't work hard. I'm saying you need to work for yourself as hard as you work for other people. That's that conditioning where we're fucked up. Like, literally, I'll work harder for my family than I do for myself. Then all of a sudden it hits me like, hey, I got to take care of myself too, nigga. Shit, I'm
right.
Yeah, but that's that conditioning. We're like, hey, man, you give everything you got at that office. You see the football players give 110%. Right. And then they go get drunk and have a car accident and fuck off.
These types of changes, they happen incrementally. So you're not going to just go out cold turkey and just I'm going to start a business and I'm going to make it happen now. No. Like, you have to, gradually change your ways so that over time you become this whole hog.
You gotta know what you're looking at. Yeah, exactly.
But also, jump the fuck out there, because earlier you brought up a point about there's these people that have these meetings for 10,000 years.
That's a waste of fucking time.
You're a professional procrastinator.
People get mad at me because I say I hate meetings, and somebody get mad. Well, you ruined the meeting. I'm like, no, I didn't. Shit, I'm not about to be jerked off by a company. They lied to me last time. What makes you think they're gonna lie to me this time?
Right.
No, I make them. I wait till those vice presidents call me. I wait, and then they go, hey, Mister, we need help with this. Yep, but I need this. You have to be that way. Sometimes as a black person, we're so used to operating from a position of disadvantage that we don't know how to operate from advantage, and we actually
as an equal.
As equal. Oh, whoa. Excuse me, Roscoe is correct. Sometimes we're not even used to being an equal when it comes to these people, let alone from a position of advantage to where we actually give our power away so much. And we've talked about that in past podcasts. But what I'm saying is that literally, you have something that somebody else wants, you sell yourself short. Like, I sell vehicles on the side. Shit, I start at $7,000. And here's another problem with that. Sometimes, I'll have a family member ask me, hey, you got any cars for sale? You got a place to rent? You got anything? I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm charging. And they'll, you ain't gonna get that. Yes, I am. But that's right.
But see, that's that defeatist mentality.
Yes.
That's bred into people.
Either defeatist mentality or they're trying to take advantage of me. What about that part? But literally, when all the people around you telling you that you will not be successful, sometimes that residue will stick to you, and you got to be careful about that. Like you always say, here, be around successful people, blah blah blah, whatever you want to say. But the bottom line is that a lot of times your family will drag you down, but that's because that's what they were taught. Hey, niggas don't go in that business. And so, remember when Barkley was offering grant money? He said, I'll give $30,000 to anybody to start these businesses, but I want it to be I don't want it to be hairdresser. I don't want it to be restaurant. I don't want it to be these things. And people got mad at him. I'm like, you know what? That's not niggas' money. He can do what he want with it. If he wants to encourage those businesses, white folks do that shit all the time. Nobody calls a white man a sellout. Nobody calls a white man this. They don't have all those titles. Well, actually they do, but they keep them to themselves. We don't know what they are.
So I'm thinking about something that you said earlier, and we were talking about the food deserts and the north side and this and that, and then you said, well, actually it's East Omaha. Listen, man, I'm from here. There's never been an East Omaha. Hold on a second. Hold on. What that is, that's some slick ass, we're not part of what you are over there. We're our own thing because we gentrified this area type shit. That's gentrification speak. So calling a place, creating a new name for a place that never had it historically is complete bullshit.
Oh, okay.
That's real slick.
So the first time I met somebody from East Omaha, it was a poor white person. And I'm like, where do you stay? And they gave me the address because I was selling a dog to this person. So I go over there. I'm like, this is the scariest shit I ever seen. And so literally, they're less than a mile from downtown, but this is a rundown area.
Like where from downtown? Which way?
South. They were less than a mile south of downtown.
I know what that is. That's over there past the post office.
Yes, but you got to hang a left at the post office.
Yeah.
But now it's all built up now.
Dude,
but back
there was this.
Dude, it's some scary shit over there.
No, there was this flea bag. Okay, there was this old rundown Chinese restaurant, and I think I was freshman or sophomore in high school, and there was this girl I used to mess with, and we would go and have our little tryst at her fucking aunt's apartment when our aunt was, because our aunt would work the night shift. We would go fuck in our aunt's apartment and shit. And dude, like, had to be some of the most seediest, rundown part of the city I've ever seen and shit. It was a shitty ass apartment on top of a Chinese restaurant. Yeah.
Oh,
but it's over there by that post office, by like a few blocks from it, and like that area, what that area is over there, man, it's like this weird.
It's cleaned up now.
Yeah, but it was like this weird no man's land zip code. It was so strange.
It was like a hill that just dropped off.
Because what it is, it's like this industrial where an industrial area bleeds into a residential area.
The train station was over there.
Yep. But that didn't mean nothing. That meant no prestige whatsoever.
Look, I was selling a dog to this white lady, so I get over there, and she had the $600. I was cool, and every time you kept driving by the house because it didn't look like I thought they were abandoned. But now, like I said, those houses aren't there anymore. But literally, I'm like.
Because they've been gentrified, and now that's East Omaha. Get the fuck out of here. There's never been an East Omaha.
It was either downtown or not. You know
either it's downtown or it's not downtown. And then once you cross over a certain street, you in South Omaha. And everybody knew South Omaha is Italy, it's Italians or it's Mexicans. But it was mostly Italians over there.
No, Italians were close to downtown. The farther you got from downtown, the more it got Mexican. But then you're knocking on Bellevue.
But see, the Mexicans didn't really like come to even that part of town.
No.
Not until like the fucking 80s, man. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-mm. But look, I always say, even then, like if you go to South Omaha where the Mexicans are, you ain't got no soul food restaurants.
Nothing.
You might have a couple pizza joints, but you ain't got no soul food restaurants. And all I'm saying is that
it used to be different though, because you got the Bohemian. Which is going in.
It's closed. Bohemian Sandwich Shop is closed. But
no. Bohemian was not a sandwich shop. The Bohemian was a Hungarian restaurant.
Yeah, they got one called the Bohemian Sandwich Shop.
Yeah.
It just closed. That motherfucker was delicious.
See, because you had like poor immigrants, poor European immigrants would live over there.
Yeah,
in that area. That's how fucking Center got built up.
Yeah,
that's like that whole area around there got built the fuck up.
Look, all I'm saying is that those people, that they spend with their own neighborhood, and that's the whole point of this. The whole point is you got to spend with your own people. You have to create some kind of financial backing to whatever movement you have.
I'll give you an example of that. In Atlanta, on Buford Highway are where all the immigrant restaurants are in the city, and that's where the best food is, and that's where all these chefs from these fancy ass white restaurants go over there, they eat, they steal the recipe, and they take it back to West Midtown or Buckhead, and they fucking sell you the same thing marked up 5 times.
You saw what happened with Gordon Ramsay that time. So he had this show, which I used to watch the show, but I missed a couple episodes. So he's in Puerto Rico. And so he says he wants to elevate the food. And so he's making this Puerto Rican dish, but he's using expensive shit. and the people got so offended. Like, motherfucker, what do you mean elevate? Like what they're saying, like our shit was good to begin with, and just because you use a better cut of meat does not mean you're making a better food. And what, long story short, it didn't taste as good. But it was funny because people got offended. I think it was Puerto Rico. It was a Caribbean island. I digress. The bottom line was the idea that this foreigner comes in here and says that he's going to elevate our food, as if to say our food wasn't.
You got to watch like Slick speak like that,
because he apologized. He said I had no intention of that.
No, but see, this is what I'm saying, because I used to live in this part of town in Atlanta called Edgewood, and Edgewood was a black neighborhood for a while. And slowly but surely, like, black people either moved out to the suburbs into these paper houses. My dad used to call them paper houses because a tornado would come through and just rip it out of the ground like a piece of paper. So, and
niggas ain't gonna make it.
Yeah, but they left like well-made brick homes that were built in the 70s, 60s, and 70s.
That's you saying some deep message.
Hold it.
Message.
Because you used to have a fucking brick house, and they move out to the suburbs where these houses were built in like
prefab,
28 days, done. So, but the point I'm making is that I had a conversation with my homeboy's girl. She's white. They're both white, and she's like, yeah, this area is coming up. I'm like, what do you mean coming up? Like, what does that mean? Oh, no, I don't mean nothing about it. I'm like, listen to me. For you to tell me that because there's a Starbucks over here now,
because white people moving in,
people moving in, it's making it better. No. Because in that same neighborhood, this is what happened. There were two black schools. There was a black elementary school, Hosea Williams Elementary, who was a civil rights activist, and then further down the street on the Hosea Williams Road, there was a junior high school. These fuckers got that place rezoned and shut down the junior high school. They tried to shut down the elementary school, but the parents were smart, the black parents, and they had it rezoned and as a charter school. So these little black kids that were walking up and down the street, you know, happily every morning, going to school, just like little kids do. These motherfuckers coming in from, like, you know, the more affluent parts of town that don't speak to anybody. They'll move in next door to you and don't fucking speak. I live next door to the candy lady. I knew everybody on my fucking block, and I ain't even from Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? And these motherfuckers move in, don't look at you, don't fucking talk, and they call the cops about the smallest fucking thing. And that's another thing. The police presence increased 200% when these motherfuckers moved in. I'm like, hold up. Where was this police presence when everybody needed some fucking help?
See, that's where this shit gets frustrating.
No, that's them going to fucking City Hall and fucking telling this, look, you're not going to be reelected unless you make this shit happen, and we need to get this shit fucking zoned and changed because we want XYZ in here. And now you got these fucking weird-ass, futuristic-looking homes next to this regular-ass looking house, and I'm like, this doesn't belong in this neighborhood, man. Like, take this bullshit and put it in fucking expensive-ass fucking neighborhood. Oh, you don't want to spend that money on the property.
Well, here's where it gets complicated. What you described was I'm leaving something for something worse. I literally have a 100-year-old home.
We're going to elevate this neighborhood.
Yeah, I have a 100-year-old home that's been through 19 tornadoes. I'm moving to a house that ain't been proven. I'm moving to a house that has internet. That's why you're moving there.
Right.
So sometimes we don't improve. Sometimes we just change. I don't like changing for the sake of changing. I always want to improve and get better. Mm-hmm. But that's what happens. That's the power of fashion. When you make something fashionable, you make it desired when it doesn't really have that much value. So you mean to tell me that a leather purse with Gucci on it is worth more than a leather purse with nothing on it? They're both leather, right?
Yep. But see, there's fashion and there's fascism. And fascism is where the government and corporations are working together to make policy and oppress people. But then we're starting to see that. But let me keep it back on topic, or just keep from going too far afield. So basically, what concerns me the most is that this community continues to grow away from the black community. Look at where we came to eat, man. Look at this place. You know what I'm saying? Like, the food is good. You know what I mean? But we don't have one of these in the fucking hood. We don't have one of these on the north side. And, like, there's no reason why we can't have this because, dude, we just ate at a Korean fried chicken place. Korean motherfuckers have businesses in the hood. I worked for one. And black folks love fried chicken. There is no reason why we can't have Korean fried chicken in the hood.
I think one of the biggest problems with...
Hold on, stop. You was talking about that spot that used to exist, Ika. It was the ramen place. They would play reruns of the Chappelle Show, and they would play fucking anime, and they'd play old school hip hop in there, and it was a fucking success. All right? What did he do? This motherfucker moved from wherever, and he put that shit, not in the hood, but somewhat close to it's still the north side, though. It's still north side, you know what I mean? But, he fucking made his fucking money on the fucking north side. And I'm like, well, ain't this a bitch?
How come a nigga can't make money with
You
niggas?
You can. The only problem is, we keep psyching ourselves out, I can't do this. Yes, you can, man. The only problem is that you have to set it off a different way because you're going to catch hell trying to go through and get an SBA loan.
Well, that's okay.
I know you're going to have something to say about that.
So my experience with the Small Business Administration, I had 2 or 3 negative experiences. But my first one, when I decided to get a small business loan, I go to him and I said, hey, I'm black. She tells me I'm not in style. Yeah, she's like,
wow.
Yeah, she said, right now it's military. People coming back from the military, people in the military starting business will help them.
But you don't say that though.
No. She was being gangster with it. She was like, look, she was like,
white woman.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want you to waste your time filling this shit out. Right now is basically we're for women, especially black women or military. Either in the military or phasing out because
but that right there, that is discrimination.
Hold it, I get that, but let me explain something to you. So, my homeboy, when I'm doing business with the restaurant, the food business, so we went to the Small Business Administration in North Omaha. They kept trying to steal his recipe. So what happened was his girlfriend got a loan for $80,000. They only gave her $13,000. The SBA kept the rest. So that's my second bad experience. But the third one, so we were trying, he's like, look, they gave her a loan, they should give me one. I'm like, are you sure? We get there, they give him a runaround, but they kept asking him, oh, my son is this. But they would love to try this product. And they kept asking, well, can we have the recipe and I'll give it to him? Like, no, just go to the store to buy my product. They would not buy the product from us, but they sure tried to wrestle the recipe from us. So, but then what happened to me, I went to the Small Business Administration at this community college over in Iowa. I can't think of the name of it. I went over there and they helped me set up my website. They helped me do all kinds of shit.
Because you were not. Oh no. Okay. I see what's going over there. It's a different story because it's not the whole north side west side thing.
Well, first she's like, well, I didn't.
And also that's a community college, so their money comes from a different place.
But she wasn't trying to steal the recipe. Basically, I went over there. She helped me with everything. I didn't get no loan because at the time I left the loan thing alone. I was going for other stuff, trying to create. She gave me a whole book on programming, how to set up your own website, where to get it for free, and if not, they would have paid for that. This and she still sends me stuff. And we're having a seminar. We're having people. So I learned I don't know how every hood is set up, but sometimes the Small Business Administration, you got to be careful. If it's in the hood, if I was you, I would go check out one of the local universities because they usually have one on campus because they want people to transition into that. So you'd be surprised, like you said, their money comes from someplace different, and they usually ain't trying to steal from you. Like I said, this woman tried to steal my homeboy's recipe. No BS. And so, we demonstrated the product, but she's like, I can't take it. Like, no, you ain't taking shit home. Go buy it from the store. And so I had to say that. I had to be obnoxious. But yeah, so my experience with the Small Business Administration.
No, you're protecting your IP.
Intellectual property, man.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, here's what I've learned from being black. If you want to start a business, many times as a black person, you need to start in another community. You need to go where the white folks are. You need to not cater just to your community. And black folks like things to be in style. So if you got 3 restaurants in the white part of town, then you take your restaurant to the black part of town because you got a buzz. But if you start in the black part of town, many times they'll fuck your food up. They'll give you a bad report because they don't like who your baby mama is. They'll fuck around and put some shit on Google like the food was terrible and the food was delicious. But that's kind of politics right there. I remember There's an interview, you can find it on the internet, where they were interviewing Cameron. And he was talking about he owns several McDonald's in the Breakfast Club. Or where they at? He's like, I'm not telling you. Because there are people that will go to that restaurant and slip and fall because it's my restaurant.
Yep.
And so that's the kind of shit that he's talking about. And I ain't saying he's right or wrong. I'm saying the nigga's 100% right. There are people that would have a problem with you on a personal level. So that's what you have to be careful of. If you want to start your business, sometimes you got to start someplace else and then come back. Prime example, Walmart. Walmart is one of the biggest retailers now, but it started out in small areas. It started out in little old Arkansas, and then it went to all the small towns. Then it worked its way to medium towns, then to the big city. It went opposite of what we're taught to do. And so if that's the case, that will work for many people. Like I said, we had a product in stores. We had an ethnic product, but I'm like, look, we're going to do the Midwest and the East Coast. And that's where we started out. Unfortunately, my partner got sick, and we had to stop. But that was the thing. Because we had an ethnic product, I didn't go to the deep. I didn't go to where you had a lot of Mexicans or a lot of this ethnicity. I went someplace different. I'm like, look, that's what we have direct competition there. Let's go where we have indirect competition. And then, but that's what a business plan is. Many of us don't have a business plan. And that goes back to what you were saying about running a business. About, okay, where do I see myself in 3 years? That's some hokey-ass, cliche shit. But that is what, okay, look, I want to have 3 stores by this. I want to open up another location. I want to be able to use the equity in my store to start another business. Hey, let me buy some property. Let me expand my resume. When you buy a house, you've been in there 15, 20 years, use the equity in that home to buy some of these small homes. You can pull out $80,000. Buy one of these houses for $30,000, stick another $30,000 into it, sell that home. Next thing you know, you flipping houses. That's the shit that we're not doing. That's the shit that you got to recognize. Like I said, and then if you want to rent a house, you want to buy some houses in your community, buy up the whole block. One of my homeboys, I didn't understand, but that's what his grandmother did. She owns his whole block over there off Lake Street. I think she just kept equity, buy another place, equity, buy another, until she owned the whole block. Mm-hmm. That's the shit we're not learning those lessons.
But see, that's what I was saying about.
We see LeBron and we see Duncan, we see basketballs, we see football players.
Right.
But we don't see the small business person that has silently has $20-30 million in assets.
But what I was saying earlier about like other neighborhoods and how they expand, they grow their neighborhood. They don't just grow the business.
Yes.
I mean, on Buford Highway, this area that has all these immigrant restaurants, there's a part that's concentrated Latino. There's a part that's concentrated mostly Asian. And in the part that's mostly Asian, what they did is the streets were dark. And you see this in Atlanta. It's like a lot of dark streets. They don't put up a lot of street lights. Up here, we have street lights everywhere. You can see where you're driving. It's not the same down there. So you got to make them do things down there.
Yeah.
So what these business owners, these Asian in particular business owners did is they put their money together. They pooled their money and they paid to have street lights installed every 20 feet. So when you're driving from, say, a set point on Buford Highway for about 5 miles down the road, it's just nothing but orange high-pressure sodium street lights.
Oh, dope.
And they did that to like light up the business front so that people feel safer for not just, spending money there, but also for the community, because you also have Asian people, older Asian people who walk up and down those streets. And that's their neighborhood too.
But see, that's some shit that I remember. I was working with a Filipino lady, and this is what they told me. They have their own Social Security. I'm like, what do you mean? When you come over here, you start paying into it. Well, excuse me. When you come over here, you can borrow out of it. But when you start getting successful, you start paying into a fund that they have for their own people. Mm-hmm. And literally, when you want to start a business, like, hey, I need this. So you can borrow money from there, interest free. As your business gets going, you put the money back in, and you paying it forward or whatever you want to call it. But that's the same. You heard about the same thing in black communities many years ago. So it's like
that's how Black Wall Street was created.
The bottom line is we're so distrustful of each other that we won't do business with each other, and that's the whole thing.
But no. See, but like, I'll do business with you as long as you have scruples.
Look, let's create a fund. And when you create a fund, you put money in there. But right now we're so used to preachers stealing from us. We're so used
That's
to
it.
Yeah, we're
the
so
distrust is already built in. But I'm looking for people who, like I said, who have business savvy and who are looking to create something greater than just a business and who have follow through and consistency. But look, I mean, I think we've covered like a lot of ground regarding circular money and how there's ways to keep that money in the neighborhood but help the neighborhood to flourish. But hey, that's all I got. We out. Peace.
Holla back.